Good morning, folks. Good morning, folks. I'm sorry I am late. We had a very nice RE class this morning that ran a little long. There are worse problems to have, right? Okay, I have a couple announcements this morning. The first two announcements have to do with a couple future services that I'm going to need your help for. Now, there's no rush on these. I want to put these on the agenda. I want to get them going, and I need your support to make these two services happen. I've done these both before. They've been wildly successful. The first service is called Music That Changed Music. There are events in music. There are events in everything, like science, philosophy. There are things that happen where people come up with new ideas that change or deflect the ideas, right? Einstein determining that light doesn't always go straight, for example, changed a lot of things. You know what I mean? An inflection point. There are a lot of inflection points in music. So what I would need from you is to tell me what you think are inflection points in music. What happened that changed things? I have a couple of my own ideas, but I'd also like to hear yours. If you have ideas on this, you can email me, you can stop me in the back of the church, you can write your idea on the back of a $100 bill and just hand it to me, whatever it is you want to do. And similarly, another service that I've done, which is also wildly well received, was called The Greatest Speeches You've Never Heard. So these are speeches that happened before our ability to record them existed. Okay? So all we have is the text. And what I'd like to do with the Greatest Speeches service is you can either recommend a speech, and I will say that back in the day, these people talked for a long time, so you may have to recommend a piece of a speech. So you can recommend a speech, or you can say, I don't know any speeches, but I like acting, I will deliver the speech. So I want to have all of y'all delivering these best speeches that you could not possibly have heard. And this was, I did this once before. This was a wonderful, it was just this fantastic service. We had one woman, I don't want to tell you the speech because I don't want to give you any ideas, but we had one woman come like in period dress and deliver the speech. And she learned the dialect of the person who originally gave the speech. So you could hear it the way it would have been delivered, right? So these are two opportunities for you to participate in Sunday service, both in terms of content and in terms of delivery. Well, I mean, we may have, I don't know if we're going to do, we're not going to have Artem play all that music. We may use recorded music because that's a lot to ask for. So music that changed music and speeches you could never have heard, okay? Any ideas? Back of a $100 bill, slip it to me in the hallway. Okay. The rest of the announcements this morning are, we have after services. If you're still a little new around here, after services we'll have coffee out front. Wonderful to have you here. And also we have a program here we call Lunch Bunch, where you can voluntarily go to lunch with a group of people. This week, Lunch Bunch is at La Madeleine, which is right here, right around the San Felipe and HEB, whatever that parking lot is called. And then if you are a little new around here, two things. One is we are offering right now our Inquisitors series, which happens before church on Sunday. Please come. It's for people who are new to UU, or even if you're not new to UU, but you would like a refresher course, this is a great opportunity. That's going to be upstairs in what used to be the high school room at the end of the hallway at 10 o'clock next week. And also, if you are new and you'd like to get on our newsletter, if you'd like us to know more about you to know more about us, there's a yellow card in your pew. Feel free to fill that out and just drop that in one of the collection bins in the front or in the back of the church. And then Ruth has an announcement for us this morning regarding the social outreach group.
Hi, I'm Ruth Walensky, and I'm a member of the Outreach Committee. Our other committee members are Mark Anderson, who is our usher today, and then we have Janet Dawson. So today starts our Share the Plate nomination campaign, in which we will decide which charities we're going to support for the next year, starting in March. Today, you can meet with your outreach committee members in the gathering place after the service. We can answer questions about how this procedure goes, and you can submit a form to say, like, let's support this charity. I really liked this year how we supported the local, like last month, it was the Indian tribe that's around here. That was neat. If you have something that you're partial to, then you can bring it up and we'll learn about it. And during the campaign, we will go through all of the nominations and produce a calendar for the year of Share the Plate starting in March.
We are going to try a lot of different things in this service, and it's all Julia's fault. I want to make it clear. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to ask you to sing the prelude with us, okay? So if you look in your hymnals, it's a chant, and we're going to do the chant for winter. And the chant is number 73 in your hymnal. So if you feel welcome, you can stay seated for this, and we're just going to chant our way into the prelude this morning.
As we gather in community, we look within ourselves and to each other for strength, restoration, and inspiration, so that as we journey together, we catch the spark of the eternal spirit, and from that spark, we light our chalice flame. Lighting the chalice flame symbolizes to all that the spirit of our congregation is strong, and that our will to transform ourselves and the world is also strong. We light the flame with gratitude. We light the flame in memory of all who have gone before, in honor of all who are here now, and with joy for all who are yet to come. So as Dory Wolf lights our chalice flame here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you joining us from home to light a candle or chalice of your own. This morning and for the month of January, our chalice lighting words for January are from Mary Oliver. Please join me in reading these words together as they appear on your screen. It is a serious thing just to be alive on this fresh morning in the broken world. I beg of you, do not walk by without pausing to attend to this rather ridiculous performance. As we work to create beloved community, we welcome all who would join us in building a better world with more love, more justice, and more peace. We welcome all who would join us in growing in mind, heart, and spirit. We welcome all who would join us in tearing down systems of oppression of all kinds. We welcome all who would join their purposes to ours in a loving spirit of right relationship. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you find yourself on life's journey, whichever your pronouns, Whether you've walked in or rolled in or dialed in, whomever you love, you are welcome here.
Ruth is a newer worship associate this morning. Awesome job, Ruth. So far, so good. It is important that we acknowledge our history as a shared history and a harmful one. Our congregation, this congregation's buildings are situated on the home of the Karankawa and Atakapa peoples who lived here for almost 2,000 years before European settlers arrived and very nearly brought about their end. We may recognize, lift up, and support Indigenous voices and communities in our work as a congregation. Each time we are gathered here together, we hear words from one of our 6 sources of Unitarian Universalist faith. Today we hear words from UU Minister Matthew Johnson. Reverend Johnson currently serves our faith as the minister in Rockford, Illinois, home of Cheap Trick, but that doesn't matter right here. Where he served for over 15 years. His words come from This Day in Recovery, the UU book on recovery meditations, and these words are from September 7th. We need to get messy. We need to question our assumptions about who makes a good fit and why we think people are puzzle pieces that have to slide into existing systems. And now, with our chalices lit and our hearts and minds centered, we often celebrate just a little bit more by singing a hymn. You may stand if you are comfortable in doing so, or you can stay seated, but either way, please help us by raising your voices and singing with us. Our opening hymn is number 1000, Morning Has Come, and it is in our teal hymnal.
I'm back. I was going to introduce this book a little differently today. I do understand that I am allowed to show the pictures here, but not allowed to show them on the screen, so I'll do my best to manage that. And I was not going to tell you what the name of this book was to start with. I was going to, and you will perhaps figure out the reason why. I'm not going to tell you anything about the author. I'm not going to tell you any of that, because this book will tell you a secret. It's about the invisible things in the universe and how you can make them visible. The secret is imagination. Imagination is like a vehicle. You can use it to travel great distances and discover wonderful new ways to look at the universe. Imagination is what we see with our eyes closed. It is what we dream of and what we wish were real. You see, there's a world all around you, and there's a world inside of you. Imagination connects the two. In fact, imagination connects everything, everywhere. Like water, imagination can look simple on the surface, while at the same time being rich as the ocean. Imagination connects what is on the surface with the depth within. It connects things that we may believe are completely separate. It shows us more about ourselves, about others, and about the beauty of the whole world. Imagination is exciting, powerful, but we can't always call up ideas and inspiration whenever we feel like it. Still, we can help them grow and bloom. To do this, we have to open our hearts, our minds, and our eyes to the world around us. Then we feel that we are a part of the whole universe. And just as we breathe in and out, imagination can flow through us. When we are in tune with ourselves and with the world, we open the doors of imagination. It's no use hurrying. Imagination takes time. It only comes when it wants. So we wait and watch. Imagination may arrive slowly. It's as if we are putting together a puzzle without knowing what it will show. Slowly, we find one piece at a time until something new and beautiful appears. Or imagination may arrive suddenly. It's as if we wake up and immediately remember a brilliant idea that we dreamed. This dream idea is like a bird that takes flight. If we don't pay attention, we may lose sight of it. But if we look closely at what we dreamed, we may feel as if we have dreamed and gained wings of our own. Imagination can introduce us to something completely original. It can help us discover a whole new world, and we want to share that, what we have seen, with everyone else. One way to do that, I'm one step behind. One way to do that is through art. Art can show others what we saw. It can even help them feel how we felt. We can write songs, stories, or poems. We can paint, draw, or take photographs. We can make crafts. We can also build things. Imagination helps us make new and beautiful inventions like art. Science is built through imagination and work. Here is another secret. When we share what imagination has shown us, we feel closer to everyone else. We feel more in tune with the universe around us, and we learn more about our own hearts. We can do this over and over again. We open the doors and windows for imagination to come, and we share our discoveries with others. Bit by bit, something wonderful happens. We fill the world with everything our imaginations bring. We are surrounded by beautiful new images that were once just pieces of a puzzle, and we see the flight of colorful birds we never knew existed. And interestingly, there is a symbol for infinity at the top corner of this page. Now, before you knew the name of the book or anything, I was just going to give you some more information. The author says, no matter how we choose to share the beauty and wonder we see in our imagination, something amazing happens when we do. We understand more about each other and ourselves. We all feel more connected to other people and to the whole universe. And this connection is powerful. It makes us want to keep sharing and keep connecting. And so we make more art, more creations, more inventions, and we send those out into the world. And the process feeds itself over and over in a continuous cycle of infinite imagination. These pictures were too good to show so briefly, but this book was written and illustrated by Bernardo Marsala, which is my best attempt at pronunciation. And perhaps you'll be interested in finding it for yourself. Obviously, it doesn't take long to read. Thank you.
Emerson collects an offering each week, like many other communities of faith, but our offering is not for our church, which is supported by the annual pledges of our members. We collect our Sunday offering to give to others because we know that giving is both a transformative spiritual act and an important way to live our values. 75% of today's offering will go to our January Share the Plate recipient, the Audrey Gale Hall Memorial Justice Fund, which is part of the Texas UU Justice Ministry. In the time we shared with Audrey here at Emerson, she made a profound impact on our congregation. This fund supports scholarships and programs for racial justice, decarceration, and LGBTQIA+ rights and inclusion. Priority is given to the support of UU young adults doing justice work and trans and BIPOC organizers. The remaining 25% of today's offering will go to Interfaith Ministries Meals on Wheels, which provides thousands of meals every day to Houston's homebound seniors. You can go to our webpage for online giving, put cash or check in our offering basket, or mail a check to the church. During our offering music, children who want to attend their RE class may follow Jill Rose and Zena Taylor to their classrooms.
We are at the point in our service where we sit with ourselves and with the universe. But we are making a slight change to this part of our service today. At the end of the meditation period, I will, as I often do, close out the meditation period, and then we will sing a small song that I'm sure many of you know, Spirit of Life. Do you know Spirit of Life? So we will go from the meditation to a closing of the meditation, and we will just sing, just to take a moment so that the jump between the meditation and the next piece of the service is a little bit less, okay? So don't be surprised when it happens. You don't have to stand up. If you want to sing along in your hymnal and you don't know the words, it's 123 in your hymnal if you're interested. I would imagine that a lot of you already know the words. Or just hum along. So here we are at this point in our service, this point where we will hold a moment of silence here in this room, and hopefully those of you online can join in. During the silence, feel free to come forward and light a candle here to thank the people or to mark a joy or to mark a concern that you are carrying with you in your heart or in your soul this morning. For those of you on technology, feel free to mark this moment, this joy, this concern, this memory, this praise, this love, any way you see fit. So we will pause now for a moment of silence. This beloved community each week comes together and it grows together. Each week it forms and it reforms itself. It shares its joys, it shares its concerns, it sings, it prays, it listens, and it hears. This act of coming together is so fundamentally human that it forms the basis for nearly all of the world's current and past religions. Each time we come together in this way, we are not only celebrating our own joys and concerns, but continuing a tradition that extends as far into the past as we can see, and praying that this continues as far into the future as we can see. Now please join me in singing our meditation.
The words for our second reading today come from Thubten Chodron. The Venerable Chodron is an American Tibetan Buddhist nun, author, teacher, and the founder and abbess of Svrasti Abbey, the only Tibetan Buddhist training monastery for Western nuns and monks in the United States. These words are taken from This Day in Recovery, November 27th. When you plant seeds in the garden, you don't dig them up every day to see if they have sprouted yet. Abandon impatience and instead be content creating the causes for goodness. The results will come when they are ready.
So, I need to borrow no, not a script. I just make it up as I go anyway. Yeah, thank you. Who needs scripts? Okay. All right. You didn't know this, but I am the bishop of my own church. I'm the only member, so I get to write whatever rules I want to write. So do you, but I ain't going to tell you that. This calendar, the calendar that we currently use, I'm not talking about January, February, March, April. I'm talking about the liturgical camera, the flow of liturgy, the flow of the religious year, does not make any sense to me. And therefore, it must go, because everything must make sense. It is organized based on when things happened, right? Christmas is when Christmas is, because that's hypothetically when Jesus was born. The 4th of July is when it is, because that's when our independence happened. Nobody said, does this make any sense? Does this have a beginning, a middle, and an end? We just did it. Martin Luther King Day is right between New Year's Day and Groundhog Day. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't flow, right? So if you're going to celebrate the spirit of life, if you're going to celebrate what it means to be human, let's make some sense of it. So I have proposed, and I'm going to propose here, a totally more meaningful arrangement of the calendar. It is based on a calendar. It is based on, I love the pagan holidays, because the pagan holidays follow the sun and the moon, and they make sense. The harvest is during harvest time. We don't celebrate the harvest in April. We celebrate it when the harvest would happen. Duh. That's what we do, right? And it makes sense in the pagan cycle. So the cycle I've chosen to stand in as a metaphor for the liturgical year is the cycle that is used in Hinduism, and it's a cycle in Hinduism about human development, and it comes in 4 pieces. So the way many of the Hindu faiths look at human development is in 4 pieces. The first piece is brahmacharya. The brahmacharya is your youth, or it literally translates as bachelorhood, because it's based on men, but whatever. So it's that time in your life before you move into the next cycle. And the next cycle is grihastha, which is home ownership, being a home householder is what they call it. And this second phase, the first phase is about until you're 25 years old. After you become a householder, between 25 and 50 years old or so, is grihastha. And then you get vanaprastha. The vanaprastha period is the retiree phase, what they call the retiree phase. And that is the phase of handing over responsibilities to the next generation, right? A planned transition, which many of us don't do. I know, having been in the business world for 30 years, I know businesses sure don't do it because many people like to act like they're going to live forever. This recognizes that you're not going to live forever. And then the last phase is the samyasa, and the samyasa period is when you give up material desires, prejudices, and you become a wandering ascetic. I'm not saying you have to become a wandering ascetic, but you can see the flow of life, right? So you have this first phase, move into the householder phase, move into the post-householder phase, and then move into the transition phase, the phase where you're moving away more and more, moving away. So what I've done is I've rearranged the calendar to make sense using this model. So I've rearranged the liturgical year to make sense with what it means to be human. And the year will go from the beginning through and then out to the end, okay? So before we do that, let's take a look at what we have going on now. It, my friends, is a mess. You start with New Year's Day, makes sense. Then you go to the Epiphany, which is a celebration of finally figuring things out. Then you go to St. Martin Luther King Day, celebration of speaking truth to power. And then my favorite, St. Groundhog Day, celebration of hope. Very similar to Imbolc, which is a pagan holiday, also a celebration of hope. Then, for some reason, you go from hope, bang, right to love, St. Valentine's Day, celebration of love. And then after love, you go right to Lent, a celebration of preparation. After St. Patrick's Day and sometimes after Lent and sometimes during Lent, you have St. Patrick's Day. That doesn't make any sense. Who put St. Patrick's Day during Lent? That was not very well thought out. Ramadan is in there. Ramadan moves throughout the year, but right now it's in March this year. Then you have April Fool's Day, which in some cases is in the middle of Ramadan. Passover, a celebration of the trials and tribulations of our ancestors. Good Friday, a celebration of necessary endings, which makes sense, but it's in the beginning of the year, which doesn't make sense. Easter, a celebration of new beginnings. Beltane, a celebration of persistence and joy. Earth Day, a celebration of our interconnectedness with the physical world. You see how this is just jumping all over the place? It's hard to figure out what you should be looking at any given time. We go right from Mother's Day, of course, it makes sense. We go right from Earth Day to Mother's Day, which I guess makes some sense. But then you jump from Mother's Day to Memorial Day, and then from Memorial Day to Father's Day. See, we didn't think this through when we put this together. Juneteenth, Independence Day, related. Labor Day, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Samhain. Now, Samhain, Halloween, All Saints' Day, and All Souls' Day, those make sense together, but that's because Samhain came first. Everything else came out of that, right? That's just lucky. I don't think we did that on purpose. Then we get Veterans Day, Hanukkah, Advent, Yule, and Christmas. Christmas, a celebration of the interdependence of God and humans. Why is that last? This doesn't make any sense. So we are going to use our, as Jill told us, our imagination, and we are going to totally rearrange it because I'm the bishop of my own church and I can do whatever I want to do. So here we go. Now, in this process, I've deleted a few holidays, I've combined a few holidays, and I've lengthened a couple holidays. I've got a lot of things that look an awful lot like Mardi Gras in here, week-long celebrations, right? Okay, excellent choice. There you go. So first thing we're going to do is New Year's Day. I'm from New Hampshire. New Year's Day is not a celebration of anything new. Everything in New Hampshire on New Year's Day is dead and covered in snow. So we are not going to celebrate the beginning of new things on New Year's Day because that doesn't make any sense because nothing's new on New Year's Day. We're going to move it to the beginning of the cycle. We're going to move it to springtime, and we're going to combine New Year's Day in bulk and Groundhog Day and Rosh Hashanah and maybe a little bit of Easter into a week-long holiday, and we're going to call it Creation Week. Why would you not do that? Everything else doesn't make any sense if you're not here. So we're going to celebrate Creation Week first. So we're going to have one special day during Creation Week, and we're going to combine Mother's Day and Father's Day and all those other Hallmark days. We're going to combine those into Parents' Day. And we're going to call one day during Creation Week Parents' Day because, duh, right? Then as creation blooms out of the spring, we can begin to celebrate spring and summer. I think we're going to just delete Independence Day altogether because that is just a celebration of nationalism, and we've got enough of that already. We don't need that anymore, so we're just going to delete it. Summer comes around, and summer is a time, I haven't been here yet during a summer, but I've been in South Carolina during a summer, and I'm going to guess you don't do a whole lot during the summer here, because I was only here in August, and whoa, it was hot. So we're going to call summer a time to wait, a time to pause, a time to anticipate, and a time to celebrate creation. We're going to combine the ideas behind Beltane and the idea behind Earth Day, which I won't even get into. Why is there only one day for Earth Day? What does that say about all the other days? I don't know. But we're going to combine Beltane and Earth Day, and we're going to call it Bel Earth. And that should be, I think, another week-long celebration, don't you? I agree. So now, in the cycle of our life, we begin to anticipate good things happening like a young adult looking forward to some sort of success, productivity. The earth is now looking forward to bearing, sustaining fruit. And animals are looking forward to new life, and we enter into a period of preparation and introspection, and most importantly, community. And these are the celebration of Bel Earth Day. And we would combine in here Sukkot and Lent. There would be some of that. And some aspects of Martin Luther King Day, which is speaking truth to power. So we're going to put all that together in the summer, and it will be a nice time. In Houston, it'll be a nice time spent indoors, but in other places, it'll be a nice time spent outside. And then the summer starts to turn to harvest. And just before the food was abundant, parallel to the time in life where people who are established and possibly having families of their own, we would celebrate the interconnectedness of humanity and the gods and the earth. And this celebration would be really long. And it would combine Christmas, key amongst holidays for celebrating the interconnectedness between the gods and the humans, and it would celebrate the humans, and it would celebrate the physical world. There'll be a little bit of the ideas of Ramadan in there, and also some Hanukkah, and we would call it abundancia. Because celebrating abundance is something we don't do very well. So let's review. We have the birth, newness, and renewal phase. This is the beginning, the year's infancy and childhood. Followed by, this is the Brahmacharya, it's bachelor, and they call it the celibacy stage. Followed by anticipation and a bridge to the next stage. Followed by an admission that we are not in control of everything, and there is still work to do. This is the grihasha stage, or the homeowner stage. Because when you become a homeowner, that's when you begin to realize what mom and dad have been saying all these years, right? Oh, that's what they mean. Yeah, that's what they meant. So it's a celebration of that not knowing phase, and we're going to call that abundancia. And now we return to preparation after abundancia. We are preparing to harvest, the work of harvest, to receive the bounty of our work, our efforts, and the grace of the earth. This celebration would combine Lent and Advent and Yule and also St. Valentine's Day, probably. They would be capped by a period of deep introspection, something like Yom Kippur and Ash Wednesday. Not a punishment, but a celebration of our imperfection and our desire to remove as many imperfections from our souls as we can. So, newness, growth, anticipation, celebration of becoming this householder stage, being the ones that are in charge. And then we move into Vanaprastha, the retiree. That is harvest time. Harvest time would be celebration of pure joy. It would be celebrating joy, experiencing joy and celebrating joy. The joy of the harvest, the joy of knowing that your family can be cared for, the joy of knowing that you've done as good a job as you can do and that you are deserving of celebration. We will call this, I was going to call it Festivus, but that's been used by another people, so I'm going to call it Holy Week. Because what is less holy than this? Celebrating the time in your life where everything you've done is gelled and become real and become whole to you. This would be a time of barbecues and badminton and trips to the beach, maybe throw in a lobster bake if you can. This is what this period would be. And we also in this time celebrate that our success is not always under our control. Westerners like to think that if we work hard, we'll get paid. It'll pay off. If you work hard, everything good will come to you. And we know that that's not true. So we will celebrate that hard work is not a guarantee of success. How about that? But failure of hard work is a recipe for failure for most people. So it's not that if you work hard, you get paid. It's if you don't work hard, harder than most, things will go down for you. So now we celebrate the uncertainty of being human by recognizing the trials and tribulations of our ancestors. One of our most important times of our year here at Emerson. This is a combination of Samhain and Halloween and All Saints and All Souls Day and Memorial Day. We'll call this All Souls Celebration. We could have a celebration that was something similar to the Day of the Dead sort of feel to it, with a recognition that all good, celebrating the fact that all good things come to an end, right? To quote George Harrison's, all things must pass. Why do we ignore that? Why not celebrate that as part of our religious community? And there would be an aspect of Good Friday to it. There's also a Hindu holiday that we don't celebrate here called Mahashivratri that celebrates the end of all things. Can you believe they have a holiday to celebrate the destruction of all things? Because all things really must pass. So now we're coming to the end of our calendar year. We've passed through all 4 phases of what it means to be human in the Hindu tradition, and we come to the end, and this is my edition. This is my edition at the end. It's winter, it's cold. If you live in New Hampshire, you're covered in 3 feet of snow. So I think what we should do is take April Fool's Day from April, where it doesn't make any sense, and put it here. Well, you need a little bit of life, don't you? right about now. It's nice here in Houston, but it ain't nice in New Hampshire and Maine and Quebec. It's cold. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take April Fool's Day, and we're going to take one part of April Fool's, one part Mardi Gras, and one part St. Patrick's Day. You pick the parts. And we're going to put them together, and we're going to put that at the end of the year. Right around, maybe we'll make that the last day of the year, December 31st. A day just to celebrate silliness. Because we realize we come to the end of this giant cycle, and it all makes sense, but in a lot of ways, none of it makes any sense at all, does it? Right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to just totally rearrange our calendar. We're not going to do that because we can't do that. But if you were to start a calendar, wouldn't you start it in a way that made some sense and celebrated the way your life flows rather than just based on whenever stuff happened to happen 200 years ago or 500 or 8,000 or however long ago it was? My favorite holiday will be that one at the end, which just to keep things interesting, even though it's in December, I will continue to call it April Fool's Day, just because that's funny. And that's the end of the redoing of the calendar. I hope you all will look at your calendars and work on them so that they make sense for you as well. Amen? Amen. And now I welcome you to sing our second hymn. Beautiful hymn. Sing along with us. I have been asked by Linda Rose to remind you that next week is the Houston, what is it, Linda? Marathon. And streets in this area will be blocked. So please be aware of that on your way here, because we know what a joy it is to get here in the first place. So, and they did say that they'll be done in January. Please, Yeah, April Fools, exactly, April Fools. Yeah, no, they said this January. Anyway, I was supposed to be here to say something. Oh, yeah. So please be mindful on your way here next week. Each week we come together, we move like the light of our chalice. It flickers, it flutters, it moves from side to side, this symbol of our faith, and yet, like us, it remains tethered to one particular place. We extinguish this chalice now, not as a symbolic ritual, but as a practical ritual. We do this because the flickering and fluttering light of this chalice is carried in our hearts and in our souls as we leave here today. It is carried with all of us here and all of us who are not here. We are grateful, so grateful for all of you coming and hearing my silliness this morning. We are especially grateful to those of you who endured that mess on Facebook, on YouTube. We thank you for coming as well. After the postlude, we'll be ending our live streaming service. And we are rearranging the end of the service today, too, right? So just follow along. Because I don't exactly know what we're doing, but we're doing something. Just roll with it. That's right. Thank you for all of you online attendees. And I invite Dory to come. Are you going to extinguish? I invite Dory to come and extinguish our chalice this morning. And I offer this benediction to all of you. May we each, in the course of our week, come to be able to feel the liberating freedom of this religious path we share. May our gods welcome each and every one of us. May our gods challenge us to live up to our own expectations of ourselves, wherever and whatever they are. And may the world around us light up so that we may see our way back to clarity and wholeness. May this be a gift of this church to all of you present here today. Amen.